Hey there, everybody. This is Jemmy with Curve the Cube, 22nd episode. Woo woo. What? Hell yeah. Sorry. Anyways, this is Curve the Cube, which is your South Florida-based arts, entertainment, and media podcast aimed at inspiring you to pursue your dreams, go for your passions, and just tackle life. It's really important to feed your soul in a very positive way. And on this episode, we have Candice Hoyes. Candice Hoyes, I've known since I was little, and I've always looked up to her as this really beautiful girl with this super sweet, composure and just an incredible voice. And to see what she's doing now with her music and singing career is just phenomenal. She just debuted her first ever album called On a Turquoise Cloud. It's beautiful. It's these really rare, it's a collection of really, really rare Duke Ellington songs that she has some incredible musicians collaborating with her on. I listened to it today and was just absolutely floored at the richness and fullness, and it's incredible, this album. I highly recommend it. You can find it on SoundCloud and Spotify and a bunch of other places. And you can find Candice. She's on Twitter and Instagram as Candice Hoyes, Candice Hoyes, no underscore or anything. And you're going to really love this podcast. She talks about her journey through music and why this album has meant so much to her and how she has gone through creating it. And she talks about learning how to promote an album and just how to give back through your music and what inspires her and pushes her every day. And she's just an awesome girl, and I'm really excited that she called in. Now, I do have to say that this is a phone-in podcast, and at one point there's some background noise for a couple of minutes, but it goes away, so just you'll be all right. Trust me, it'll pass. And also want to say that everybody knows me as Jemmy, but you'll hear Candice refer to me as Jamie, and the reason is because through elementary school, middle school, I was Jamie, and it wasn't until about high school, maybe a little later, that people started calling me Jemmy. It's a whole long other story. It's not even important, but same girl, just, name change. Keep people on their toes. So, you know me as Jemmy. She calls me Jamie, but it's no big deal. So anyways, sit back and relax and enjoy the 22nd episode of Curve the Cube, which is sponsored by Soul Experiences, a South Florida entertainment and lifestyle company. If you really want to get into some good socializing, get into some fun pub crawls, some random day trips to Key West, and other really incredible fun things around South Florida, check out Soul Experiences on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's my friend Lynn's company, and she's doing an amazing job with it. And if you mention Flintstone Media, the parent company of Curve the Cube, you will get a discount on your future event. So go check her out, follow her, and get into the know in South Florida events. Anyways, like I said, 22nd episode, Curve the Cube with Candice Hoyes. Enjoy!
Curve the Cube will now initiate.
Hello, Candice.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm excited to speak with you, and congratulations on the show.
Thank you so much, and congratulations on everything that you're doing on the new album and all of your successes. It's going to be great catching up. It's been so long.
I know. I even see Jerry a little more frequently.
Sorry, that? Oh yeah, yeah. How's Suzanne?
Oh, she's doing great. She lives in Chicago now. She works for a real estate firm, and she's very happy. She's not in New York anymore, but she's enjoying Chicago.
So, That's good. Well, thanks for calling into the podcast. This is going to be a fun time. I'm excited to talk to you. So I just let everybody, all the listeners, to clue them in. I've known you since we were kids.
Yes.
We went to the same school together since we were pretty little. So we've known each other for a long time, but haven't seen each other since about high school. So when did you? So I've known you to be a singer since forever. I mean, Candice Hoyes, you put an equal sign between you and the word singer, and it makes sense to me. So
that's awesome.
when did you realize that you love to sing? I mean, you must have been really young.
Well, I would say those days, school days, when I realized that I wanted to sing, and I was very much a kind of nerdy, bookish type, except for the time when I was on stage, and I really feel like I felt so free, and I think also I was probably more reserved because there weren't that many students of color at our school, and it just helped me to really find myself. What's that now? You hadn't noticed? Right, I know. It was two of us, my sister, your brother. So it gave me a real outlet to kind of find my figurative voice, and also I love singing. And while we were in school, I found this recording that became really fundamental to me as a musician. I was studying piano and I was singing, but one afternoon when I was studying in the library, I found this recording of Wynton Marsalis and the great American soprano Kathleen Battle. And Wynton Marsalis, I think he's so iconic, especially among jazz artists. I don't need to explain who he is. Perhaps. Well, maybe I should actually. He's probably the most preeminent figure in jazz today. It would be safe to say that. He's a famous jazz trumpeter.
Is he modern, or is he from a previous
Very much
decade?
So.
Is he kind of
okay? Oh,
okay.
So let me back up. So
I need to be included too. I apologize.
No, don't. Everybody's welcome, please. This is our American music, and there's no pretense or anything like that. So Wynton Marsalis is just an American icon as far as music. He's very much contemporary. He is the head of jazz at Lincoln Center today. He's a real innovative jazz composer. He's composed probably every form of jazz music, from like large-scale symphonic works. He has a blues symphony that's he's performing right now, to, traveling with his quintet all around the world. He won many, many Grammys, and he's just such a cultural icon in America. And Kathleen Battle is, Kathleen Battle is one of the most famous American sopranos. She's also black. But when I saw that cover when I was just in middle school, I just saw them as two young people. They look really poised on the cover, but they look really very much like people in my own family. So this is to answer your question about when I started singing and when I started really understanding that was the way that my life was going to go. When I saw them on the cover, I was fascinated. I really identified and saw myself in them. And, I actually I went to school. I went to Harvard. I studied sociology. And I sang a whole lot in college, and in every kind of group. I sang jazz, open mics. I sang opera. I sang gospel choir. I sang a cappella groups. I sang in musicals. I just was like, I've always had a huge appetite for music.
Yeah.
And so, flash forward to post-graduation, I became an opera singer. Well, I went to law school first, I should say that. And I was singing while I was in law school. I went to law school.
I think it's fair to say you're a well-rounded woman.
Yeah, and then my journey definitely been winding. I love writing. I still do, and I think that was what brought me to law school. Also, not really having a clear path as to how to be a professional musician, but having this degree at Harvard. I applied to law school and I was accepted, and I went. And it was, I'd say, it was a youthful decision to do that, go a more obvious route. But by the time I landed really in New York for law school, I was fully exploring music and found a voice teacher and got into a music program. And got a master's in music immediately following law school, and became a classical singer for the last 6 or 7 years. Mostly I've been a classical singer, very much like Kathleen Battle in that tradition. And then I was hired by Jazz at Lincoln Center a year ago and got the opportunity to perform a original composition by Wynton Marsalis. And so that's why I started in the library, because those dreams that I had when I was a kid, I've really found my home there. And this is how I came to, On a Turquoise Cloud, this album, which uses my classical singing, but to sing the Duke Ellington rare songs. So it's pure jazz, but it's very much like the perfect combination of what I've always done and what I want to do. So,
does this album feel? Which, by the way, I listened to it today. It's beautiful, absolutely. Thank you. Stunning album from like start to finish. Every note, from the arrangements to your voice and everything. I mean, it was gorgeous. And listening to you talk about it, does this album seem like your wheelhouse? Like you finally found your home in this journey with music?
So much. It's the way you say it is perfect. I've definitely found my wheelhouse, because I joke around that I like to soar and I like to swing. I definitely I have a high voice. I love classical repertoire. I sing everything in that repertoire, from the Baroque music to the contemporary. However, I've always sung standards. When you first met me as a kid, I was singing standards at school. I was singing standards at home by myself, and that's what my grandparents listened to. That's very much a part of me. And these songs on a Turquoise Cloud allow me to explore the range of my voice, but singing jazz. And so it is perfect for me. And I've also find, like, when I did Abyssinian Mass, and I had the opportunity of a lifetime to tour with Wynton Marsalis and the Jazz Lincoln Center Orchestra, just spending those weeks on the road. It was a national tour. It was a month on the road with the orchestra and many other singers. I really learned about the pace and the intensity of being a professional jazz artist by observing the way the orchestra works, and they're constantly arranging, constantly creating new projects, initiating their own projects. When Wynton is driving around the country, he's oftentimes arranging and composing. And the same thing with the other amazing artists in the orchestra. They travel by bus, both, predominantly, and they are constantly working on other projects for other groups and scoring musicals and films. And I just felt like, for me, it fit my intellectual curiosity and my appetite to make my own project, rather than to just keep auditioning. And I kind of felt like I was in the back seat all the time, and that's not really my personal style.
Right.
I'm a real I really wanted that kind of role in my own life, so in my own musical life. So that was why I wanted to make an album.
It's interesting to hear you talking about this journey that you're going on, because when I think about the two spheres of music, I think about jazz and I think about opera, and I know that you've really dabbled in both heavily, but to me, they've always been so different. Like, to me, opera always seems like this extremely practiced and finite type of music. It's beautiful, but there's a certain structure to it, whereas jazz always seems so playful and fun, and likes to curve the edges. And I lived in New Orleans for 4 years, so I've definitely been around a lot of that type of jazz. So how do it's interesting to hear you talk about, like, coming from this place of, not I want to say confined, but you're now exploring those boundaries and breaking out, and so it's like almost like looking at going from opera to jazz, and it's kind of funny to see, because when I was listening to the album, I was like, wow. What really struck me about it was, and I don't know, I'm not sure where you're standing right now, but there's a lot of background noise.
Oh, that's not good. let's change that. That doesn't work at all.
Okay, but what
you were saying that
thank you. Yeah,
the freedom that you hear in jazz versus the structure you hear in classical music. Tell me, what did you hear in the album?
Well, yeah. So what was interesting in the album was, I'm listening to, jazz stylings and everything, and then you're pairing that with the technique that is so incredible in your voice. I mean, you have so much control, but then you could hear sometimes when you're the times when you're pushing the limits too. It was really, really a fun mix to go on. It felt like I was going on a journey with you through the music of the album. It was really, really cool. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Well,
what drew you?
I'm definitely a musical risk taker. I do love. I mean, I think what might sound exciting, I do have technical control over, but expressively I'm always, whether it's any kind of music, I think it's important for it to be new every time. So classical or jazz, so they have that in common, and I think also you have to have a mastery of the art form so that you have that freedom to make it new. But what you're saying about On a Turquoise Cloud and these songs, that's absolutely true. It has been kind of rebirth for me, where I do feel like I have found myself in them, and I would say absolutely jazz is by definition, it celebrates the freedom of a person. It's improvisatory. It's highly individualistic. There's you never do anything the same way twice. Whereas with classical music, there's always this, and it's also such a long history with classical music that there's always a sense of comparison. Whereas in jazz, it is the opposite. And that does really, really speak to my soul. So there's a reason that I came to these songs. But in fact, what I would say about On a Turquoise Cloud is Duke Ellington wrote these songs. The way he wrote all the music, typically in his band, he would write for the soloist. So, like Johnny Hodges, he would write his solo for the way that he plays his instrument. And he always wrote for the individual. And when he had...
Wow, that's brilliant.
Yes, it's quite an amazing feature. And when he had in the 20s and then in the 40s, especially with Kay Davis in the 40s, and later in the 60s, he had classically trained jazz singers. So these are women that actually went to conservatory, have the same training, very much in the same bel canto style as I did probably, almost certainly. But for various reasons, live in the world of jazz. And I would say part of them are racial, because I know Kay Davis in her interviews, I did a year of research, Jamie, to find these songs. I researched Duke Ellington at the Smithsonian, and I found not only the original, handwritten manuscripts of the songs that they're just not performed anymore. And I can tell you why I think so, but in any case, they're not. And I also found interview footage and, audio tapes and things like that of Kay Davis, who was the singer who made On a Turquoise Cloud famous in her day. And she talks about how she went to Northwestern Conservatory and the dorms were segregated, and what it was like as a black woman trying to enter the classical world in the 40s. Yeah. And she had very early on an opportunity to sing for Duke Ellington. And he immediately snatched her up right out of, freshly out of conservatory. And she was on the road with the Duke Ellington band for 6 years. So her story is so much like mine. And I would say that some of the racial obstacles that opera singers face now are the same ones that were alive in the 40s.
Right.
In as far as, I'm not even opera singers, really. I'd say just stereotypes persist. And so this music does offer me a lot of freedom, but it was actually written for a voice very much like mine. So it's really, I feel like it's not even, I'm not making anything new. I think that, what was good then is good now. It's just that people don't know about it. So it's really, for me, it's like an honor to share this secret with jazz lovers and people who just love good music.
Well, I first discovered Duke Ellington when I was a freshman in college. It's the first time I heard him, and you know, and so I've listened to him a bunch since then, you know, here and there. And so when I heard your album, and then when I read up on it, and then I listened to it, I was like, wow, these are all songs I've never heard, and that was really intriguing for me. What was so important to you about choosing? I mean, well, I guess I just should ask. You said you did a lot of research and to find the right songs, and they all, you know, there was a reason for each and every one of them. But I'm curious to know if one of the reasons was that they were relatively unknown.
Oh yes, I think. When I first heard On a Turquoise Cloud, the title track, I just thought it was so innovative. And the funny thing is I sing a lot of contemporary music. I'm based in New York, and it's a big capital of contemporary classical music. And just, I mean, even Abyssinian Mass that Winston composed, you know, 5 years ago, this is all contemporary music. When I heard these songs from the 20s and 40s, I was like, my goodness, they're like they're so prescient, they're so forward-looking. To me, the way that he uses the wide range of the voice and the textures, the jazz textures, the combination of the ranginess of the voice and the rich harmonies and the sort of lush sound in the band is very much a precursor to the way that people write musical theater today. And so I was totally fascinated. I was like, people think that this is like there's a crossover thing that composers are doing now, but it's very much, you know, something that Ellington innovated. And I was like, I wish I could share this secret. Not to mention, I think the songs are absolutely stunning, and they're just unforgettable songs. However, I think music is really divided by genre nowadays, and when you go back to the days of the 40s, when you had entertainers like Nina Horn or Harry Belafonte, and if people know who those people are, Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, they acted in movies, they sang, they danced. They were full, complete performing artists, and so the genres were not so divided. You could have a singer who could sing like that. Like Kay Davis can sing these beautiful lilting melodies that you hear on the Turquoise Cloud. And she also can sing Take the A Train. She can also sing Lush Life. And she did. She did everything, you know. Anything that you had the ability to do and the vision to do, there was a freedom to do it. And now everything's kind of like divided the way that music is on you know, your music providers that you get online, like by category. But that's not really how people live, you know?
Like you have to, like,
I'm sure, like, you're a Haitian American woman, you listen to this, you listen to that, you listen to, you know, Rihanna, you listen to this, you listen to that, you listen to Duke Ellington. That's how people live. They don't live by genre. So I'm the same way, you know?
Do you think there's a challenge between exploring, you know, all the different avenues of music that you want to explore and all the different sides of yourself versus giving a consistent expectation to your listeners? Do you think that how do you strike that balance?
I think that's a beautiful question, and it's something I'm definitely exploring in my life, like on my feet right now, right? I think that good music, we'll see, you know, but I think good music is good music. And if I love it and I share it with my heart wide open and I make that music, that people will stay with me and we'll go together. I think, I think it's just like about the sincerity. That's all I really want to do is just make good music. But I think, I think that but I think there's something true to the fact that the genres are more imposed from the outside. But I actually intend to take this music to various venues, you know. I'm going to sing in jazz clubs. I'm also going to sing in cultural centers because this is music that's historically relevant. I'm going to sing with pop orchestras. I believe it should be a part of the Duke Ellington songbook, just the way that the Gershwin songbook is entirely, you know, known and celebrated, and Rodgers and Hammerstein. I think this should be found all over the place, and I want other singers to sing this music too, you know. So I think it'll work. I think people will listen.
No.
Yeah, but it's true. I think it's true. It will be. It will challenge some people. It will challenge. It won't sound what they expect to sound when I say jazz. But it's pure. It's pure jazz. It's all Ellington. Pure jazz.
Well, you're speaking of elegant. I mean, your vibrato is amazing. I mean, I don't know too much about, you know, singing technique and music. I just don't have that knowledge, but I do know a good vibrato when I hear one. And yours is amazing. And, you know, what as a singer, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, like a baseball player might have, like, they love to pitch, or they love to run the bases, or their favorite thing is getting up there and getting at bat. Is there a certain element of your voice or some element of music that you just love singing? Like, is there one particular thing about singing that you just love the most?
I gotta say, I love singing with a band. I absolutely love singing with orchestra. I think it's a thrill of a lifetime that you can't describe when you're a part of that. There's a certain feeling of community that, especially a huge part of being a jazz artist, because it's just, you just never make music alone. And I mean, classical is the same way, but for jazz, you make music for hours on end in a certain way, and often with people you've just met. That's the improvisation. So I like that's what I love about. I love singing, not even, Jamie, like high notes or low notes. I think when I was first starting, I was fascinated with my range. I thought it was interesting. Now now that I feel like, you know, I'm an adult and I'm more mature and I have a lot of things that I want to say in life, like, you know, speak on my life experiences. What I love the most is what I find when I come together with other people. It's kind of probably why you do interviewing, conversations. You know what I'm saying? Every performance is a musical conversation. Every time I come into the room to sing, I always look all around the room. I always take the room in. I want to feel who's with me, and I'm looking on the stage, and I want to feel what the other people on the stage are doing, and I want to listen to them. So that's the thing that I love about music. So I think I love the live element. The recording thing this is my first, On a Turquoise Cloud is my debut album. So that's another whole thing that's been fascinating.
Sorry.
No, listen, you can't say it enough times. There's only one debut album. I realized that, you know, there's only really, it's a one-time thing. So, yeah. So recording has been fascinating too. I also wrote lyrics for 2 of the songs. That was another fascinating experience that you don't have really in classical music, where you write your own lyrics.
Right.
We don't do that. But yeah, that's
incredible.
I just like the experience of it.
You know, it's funny you say that, because I haven't in a while since I've had my son, and you know, he's with me at church all the time. But I used to be one of the prayer readers at church, and so anytime I would get up there, you know, we have a full band, and they were playing during the prayers. And I remember one time when I got off the podium and after service was over and everything, the band leader was talking to me. He's like, "Man, you're like another member of the band." What do you mean? He's like, you know, you get right in line with us. And so I'm hearing you talk about the experience of playing with a live band, and you know, I think in some small way I can kind of get it, because like you know, you look around and there's an energy that is shared amongst everyone who's putting this one common thing together, and it can be a really beautiful thing. And what I was wondering from you is, you know, when you think about the world of jazz, like you think big band, there's so many huge instruments, there's, you know, brass and percussion and all this stuff going on, and how is a singer in you know, when you're doing something like jazz and listening to your album and thinking, my God, those are some extraordinarily strong but also delicate notes. How do you keep from getting overwhelmed by this huge band that's around you and behind you? And how do you do that? How do you manage to sing the delicate stuff so strongly?
Oh, thank you. I think that's a beautiful thing to say. I think it's about balance, but I would say you don't look at it in the way of ever being overwhelmed. There's a couple things I think that they produced. Well, my producer is amazing. So the producer's role is really to steer the ship as far as the balance of the sound and the way that we set up the room in the recording studio. So, and even on the stage. And my producer's name is Ulysses Owens Jr. He's he's young but very, very, very experienced. He's produced about 25 albums. He's won 2 Grammys. He's a real superstar drummer and producer. And so there is a master plan with the balance of the sound. But I would say, like, as far as energy-wise, Jamie, and the sound that's coming at you or with you when you're making the music, you have to just welcome that. You can't really feel like it's going to overwhelm you. That's the power of being the singer. You're the leader of the band, and the people that I recorded with are really some of the most preeminent names in jazz. They're extraordinary. They're extremely experienced. They've recorded many albums of their own. They all lead their own ensembles, and they're all like star soloists in their own right. So they definitely know how to play with a singer, and that was why I think the songs came out the way that they did, with so much detailed storytelling. I think that they really sort of caressed my voice with their sound in a way that made the story come through, you know, with such clarity. So I can't take credit for it as far as the singing. I think that they definitely, the people who played with me definitely facilitated that. For me, though, I don't ever feel nervous about that. I just sing. You sing the same way, really, Jamie. Even if it's a big ensemble, you just think, you sing with your own voice, and you direct it in certain ways. I certainly warm up. I certainly, as a professional, look at the space, and I'll stand in a live performance. I'll stand in the acoustically optimal place. You know, you find the sweet spot on a stage so that you hear what you need to hear, and their monitors. I didn't actually. I used my headphones. You use the cans when you're recording, but you have to be open to the sound and open to the space that you're performing in, but also you have to trust the other artists that you're going to do it as a team. And at this level, with the people I recorded with, it was a real absolute privilege. I did not have to worry about that. They're just so much. There's just so much experience in the room. It was great. So that was
how did you get together with them? How did you find all of them? How did y'all get together and stuff for this album?
That's a great question. So kind of picking up on that longer story that I was telling about going on the road with the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I started at that point to explore what was this project of mine going to be, because as I was telling you, they totally inspired me to find my own thing in the way that I saw them doing, and I saw how fulfilling it was, and how hard it was, but how worth it would be. And I knew it would be right for me. And so I started thinking, what would my album be like? And then at that point, I met Ulysses Owens Jr., who was performing at Jazz at Lincoln Center. I met him backstage. We were chatting. He's like, so what's your deal? What are you working on? You did this tour. What's your next thing? And I said, honestly, I'm not so sure. But I did find some interesting songs. I was thinking I might do this recital or a concert of these Ellington songs. He's like, well, which songs? And I said, you don't know what they are. No, like, people don't really know what they are. He said, really? So I said, yeah, I was researching, and I found about, 5 or 6 songs. And he said, I think it'll be a great concert. He said, no, this is a concept album. No one has recorded these songs in 70 years, and they're Ellington songs. We should make an album of this. We should document it. And I was immediately sold on the idea. I went back into research mode. I went to the Smithsonian over the summer, and I started culling through the boxes and the stacks in the Smithsonian Ellington archive, and I found up to, over 30 songs of Ellington for this voice. So we had this wonderful gem, and that was where it started. And then at that point, I contacted a lot of my colleagues from Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, and they're also very much people that Ulysses plays with very frequently, being a first call jazz drummer. And we explained to them together that this is a very special project and asked them if they would support it. And not only did they agree to support it, but they said they would play and arrange all these songs in a fresh and contemporary way. And they had to work with these very rudimentary manuscripts that I found. Like, some of them were even mildewed and didn't have all the chords on them, and literally, I mean, they were like water stained because of the age. And they were the artists who played on this and arranged this are absolutely tremendous. So, including Joe Temperley, who is the most senior player in the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra, but notably was part of the Duke Ellington band himself. So the way that it bridges the generations is just kind of mind blowing. But
that's incredible.
Mr. Temperley signed on. He actually taught Ulysses at Juilliard, but he mostly signed on because he believes in carrying this music to our generation. So it was such an honor, to record with him. It's astounding.
Of course. So, I can't even imagine what that whole experience must have been like for you. Was it just a complete dream, or did it go?
Yes, it was like a waking dream.
Wow.
Because I've listened to Joe Temperley's rendition of Single Petal of a Rose, I don't know, hundreds of times. Different ones. I will sometimes sit on YouTube and listen to different performances because I love that. That's one of my favorite Ellington tunes, and he, I think, is the epitome of the most beautiful rendition of that is his. I would say it's the height of interpretation for a Single Petal of a Rose to me, and to many. He's world famous for interpreting that song, and so the opportunity, Ulysses and I came up with the idea to add lyrics to the song because I love it so much, and to include it on an album. And so those are lyrics that I wrote, and that's Mr. Temperley.
So that was the one. Oh, wow. That was one of the ones.
The one that's kind of like a lullaby. Yeah, Single Petal of a Rose.
Unbelievable.
So
that's awesome. Wow, what an exciting time for you.
It's been very rich. It's very exciting, and it's also it's so personal. It's been such a personal journey, of discovery for me.
I mean, I can think, I'm thinking when you meet these musicians, you're not just experiencing something on a professional level, but you're interacting with these people that have such rich histories, and foundations for what you now are doing. And I can only imagine what that must have been like. What did you learn from that experience that can teach you about the types of people you want to work with in the future?
Well, I think that the opportunity for mentoring is critical. And so I think, Jamie, I've always been interested, since you knew me and we were young kids, I tutored younger kids. And it's something, I think education and sharing the music with people of all ages is important to me because of what it's done for me in my life. And so we are sharing the music of On a Turquoise Cloud at children's museums and cultural centers, libraries, universities. I performed On a Turquoise Cloud as a lecture and concert at University of California at Berkeley a few weeks ago and spent some time answering questions of the students. And so I think the same way that the artists who collaborated with me touched my life, I'm trying to definitely share the music in the same spirit. And I think also just seeing, just going and not knowing where you're headed and maybe not fitting people's expectations, it's a great thing. It's because it causes you to really be clear about what's important to yourself, irrespective of what the outcome is going to be. And it feels really good. I think it's a beautiful place from which to create, and it's a great place from which to work if you have the privilege to do that. And so, and I just feel like I feel so sincere, Jamie, with what I'm singing. I know all about it because it's something that it's like fruit from your own tree.
Right,
I know all about
something that's been in your veins since you were little.
Very much. Very much so.
That's incredible. That's incredible. What, where do you feel like you're at a precipice at this point where you're entering a new chapter in your career?
So much so. Not just because it's on my debut album, but I also think because the material of On a Turquoise Cloud, the subject of it is so rich. Musically, it's beautiful. It's Ellington. It's rare Ellington. There's so many places it could take me. I think it would be very well received in, abroad. I think, as I told you already, certainly jazz clubs, certainly cultural institutions and museums and universities and I don't know. I'm sure I'll be doing some combination of everything, and I love that. That was actually what I was thinking. So variety and an abundance of performing, because that's what, when you ask me what I love about singing, that is that experience of making it new all the time is really what I'm seeking. So I'm on a precipice, but I think it's pretty sure that I'm gonna enjoy what comes.
Good. And so I know you said that you might be doing a bunch of different singing in different places and bringing your music to different venues. Do you have a particular type of place that you enjoy performing in the most? I mean, like small, big, more, lots of people, more intimate. What do you really like to do?
What I love is the variety. I would love to. There are certain, of course, great bastions of jazz that I would love to sing in because I dream of them.
Okay.
Certain
what?
clubs,
Like what?
of course.
Like what? Put it out there so the people can know.
I would love to sing at Ronnie Scott's in London. I would love to sing at, of course, Jazz at Lincoln Center is an amazing institution. San Francisco Jazz and Newport Jazz Festival and Umbria Jazz Festival. Tokyo. I would love to sing in Japan, throughout Japan. I would love to just stay in Japan for a while singing. There's so many wonderful places where the music is really really felt. And that's really what I would say. If I have to pick a place, it's not about the place. I want to go where the music is really felt. I told you that feeling of community and like the depth of the experience. That's what I'm looking for. Of course, I want to perform it with the full octet that we recorded. But I do love to sing it with just me, myself, and a rhythm section is absolutely luxurious because of the intimacy of it. So it's like, there's no there's no way that's not satisfying to do it. If you have the right music, there's no form of it that's not going to be satisfying. And I can't wait to make another album, which I can't even imagine, but that's next. In a while, in a long while.
In a long while, do you have an idea of what that might be? What that might look like? Have you thought about that?
Only in dream form. Not yet exactly. I'm so much.
Yeah.
This is so much in coursing through my veins is on a turquoise cloud. I'm just because there's so many places I haven't even. It's just freshly released into the world, so so many things I want to see happen with it.
I'm wondering. This thought never occurred to me before until just now, but when you think opera, you typically think like Europe. When you think jazz, you typically think America. And so, I know there's a whole lot of blending.
That's true.
Whole lot of blending. But when you say, you think it'll be great to take it to Japan or anywhere else you want to go across the ocean.
Yes,
either ocean. How do you think that's going to be to present now, quote unquote more American music to that foreign audience? How do you see that go? Like, what do you think that's going to be like? Have you talked to others who've been there and done it? And
oh yeah,
what do you think that's going to be like?
I think it's going to be thrilling. I mean, it's going to be thrilling. Japan is a place. It's a landmark jazz destination. Is
it really?
Yes, there's a rich tradition.
What? I never knew that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the jazz tradition is younger than obviously the classical tradition that goes back hundreds of years. But I would say probably the 30s or 40s is when there was a jazz arrived in Japan, and they're amazing virtuosic jazz artists, like iconic ones who are Japanese. I play with some pretty wonderful Japanese American artists who are immigrated from Japan and now are a huge part of the New York jazz scene. There's a lot of cross-cultural. I mean, the jazz. Since like the days of Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, I think jazz has been an international art form, and I think it's definitely something that, as you know from living in New Orleans, has its origins here in America, but it's something that really like transcends all the languages.
It's so true, so true. And cultures, all languages and cultures, yeah.
Languages and cultures. So there's no barrier. It's all love for good music, I think. So that's why I want to take it everywhere. Seriously, don't you think so? I mean,
I think so too. I think and I think you're a great ambassador for it. For a variety of reasons. One, you're smart. Two, you're talented. Three, I think ethnically and visually, I think it's a whole new ball game with you. And I think it's an important thing. I think you're a perfect person to do that. I think it's great. I think you're going to have an amazing time. If I were to make predictions, I think you're going to be great at success. So, I'm just wondering, if you were to give a piece of advice to someone who is considering whether it's a career in music in general, or they want to pursue music in New York, or they want to pursue specifically jazz, like, what would you tell people to do? Because I know, when you're an artist, you're creative, right? But in order to be an artist and make a living, you have to deal with the business and political side of all that stuff. So how would you tell people to get that balance and to make sure one doesn't affect the other in a negative way or interfere with your creativity?
Well, I think the way to build an opportunity for yourself in a creative job, and to build an opportunity for yourself in the arts in particular, is a combination of obviously the skills. You have to always keep learning every day. I work on my craft every single day, and sometimes probably too many hours of the day. But it's my passion, and it's also my professional habit. So I would say that the work is always, it needs to always be very much at the front of your view. However, I'd say like the thing that makes you powerful is not always just opportunities coming and, you know, hunting them down, but it's knowing your own voice. It's knowing what you want to say. When you get that opportunity, when you book the gig, what are you going to say? Why are you there? Because it's all about communication. Whether you're a writer, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you're a producer, or you know, advertising executive or a baker, what are you expressing with? What's your particular point of view, and what are you expressing? And I think so. And you develop that through working. So for me, there just came a time, it was very important for me to make my own work. And I think especially as a woman of color and as a woman who has different appetites for musical styles, it was super important for me to express on a Turquoise Cloud, to be very free in my expression as far as musical style and old and new and everything, and just kind of, that was the energy that I needed. And so you have to really, so your power comes from bringing the energy that you need into your life of your own esteem, not waiting. But of course,
I like that,
work,
not waiting.
Prepared.
I like that.
Yeah, work and be prepared, but definitely continue to bring into your life what you need to express what you have to say. It could be an album, it could be a cupcake business, it could be whatever it is, but
right.
I think that's it.
Excuse me.
For me.
Well, you
know,
I was going to say that on another episode of the podcast, I interviewed a friend of mine, Charles Milling, who's also a musician, and he comes from New Orleans, so he has a whole lot of jazz roots himself. And one thing that he said that sounds a lot of like what you're saying is, he's like, you got to know your why. He's like, I know I see a true musician when you can see them perform and you can see their why when they're performing. And it sounds like you've been comfortable in your why, and you've known your why, at least in large part, since for your whole life. It just sounds like what you were destined to do. It's exciting that you're doing it.
I for a long time, and many days, you don't know your how. Don't let that lead.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Speaking of that,
you don't know your how, honey.
Speaking of the how do you go about promoting a new album? Like, how do you do that? I know this one is super fresh; it's just come out. But what are the mechanics of promoting an album and really getting it out there? What are you learning?
Part of it is reaching out to people who've known you for years, such as yourself. No, it's true. Welcome every willing ear. You know, welcome every willing ear. Of course, you have a wonderful platform here that you created for yourself and your own vision. But I write to perfect strangers, too. I also have an amazing team of people who are a part of the project, who collaborate with me in Ulysses Owens Jr. in our management, in the amazing sound engineer who engineered the album, Duke Ellington, and all of the arrangers on the album. And I think it's going to be, for me, On a Turquoise Cloud is going to be a project that I work on sharing with the world for years. It's going to always, I want to always be identified with it. It'll always be a big part of my career. And so I don't rush so get the word out, even though we live in a Instagram world where everything is instantaneous.
Now.
Yeah, which I'm totally. I mean, I'm on the gram. I'm on. I do all those social media things because they're fun. But I also know that my project is expansive, and it has different. It's an experience, like you said. You felt like there were all the songs are different stories. So I'm very patient with it. I'm very loving with it, and but I would, if anybody out there would like to hear more about On a Turquoise Cloud, would like to write about it, would like to hear it performed in somewhere, that they have in mind, I'm very open to that. And
well, on that note, will you tell people where to find the album and find you and everything?
Absolutely. So, On a Turquoise Cloud is available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all of those wonderful, places where you can buy music every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my website, which has constantly updated tour information on a turquoisecloud.com. And there you can find me in live performances in your area, and certainly I'm looking to always perform even more, so it'll be a very exciting time. Yeah.
I think 2015 is the start of something extraordinary for you, and I'm really looking forward to following your career. I can't thank you enough for talking to me tonight. I think you're really inspirational, and what you're doing is phenomenal, and I'm so excited to get, to help have more people hear about you, because I think you're going to inspire so many people to go for it and live their dream.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. That means so much to me. That's my purpose, is to share music that has people feeling ready to do amazing things in their lives and enjoy their lives as well as I am when I'm making music. So thank you so much for that. I'm really honored to be on your show, and I'm very proud of you. And thank you for the chance. So,
hey, do you want to sign off the podcast? And it's super easy. All you'll have to say is, this is Candice Hoyes with Curve the Cube.
Okay, you got it. This is Candice Hoyes with Curve the Cube.
Yay! Thanks so much, girl.
You have successfully curved the cube.